This is All About Wine, the talk show dedicated to the wine industry since 2009, featuring winemaker, cellar master, vineyardist, and tasting expert Ron.
Basically, what we're trying to do on this program is just trying to educate.
At www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. Again, that's www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. And now, All About Wine is on. Here's Ron.
I had trouble getting on. So as far as I can tell, I'm live and I'm streaming, and what we can put out and do here. Come on. I say come on because my slow. And it's driving me insane. H's? What? Yep. Getting ready to start the H's. So we will go through some H's here. And in fact, we might even try to get head trained. Well, have I done this H's? Well, it looks familiar. Let me see what. (3/8, 3/8 of a meter. Hang time. Grape spins ripening on the vine. You want longer hang time because it encourages the sugar sugars, which are put into alcohol and overall just or quality that usually results from high acidity or tannins. Often a descriptor of young red wines. This is sounding familiar. I think I did this. Harsh, astringent, high harvest, process of picking grapes. Hazy, the amount of the wine characters of wines, unfined, unfiltered. I'm sure I did this. I am almost positive I did the H's because I remember some of these here. So I'm not going to go through these again. Okay, I'm not going to go. I'm going to go into the I's because I'm almost positive I did the H's. If I didn't do the H's, then get Mike on. We'll find out next week. If it was done. If he says no, then we'll get you caught up on it. But I almost guarantee you I did the H's. I's. First one, P. Indication approaches A. IGT. Indicación gráfica típica. And those will be described further in a couple of minutes here because they're all I's. Ice wine, dessert made from frozen grapes. Actually frozen on the vine, although there is no regulations in the United States that you can't take them and put them in a freezer and freeze them and make an ice wine with frozen grapes from sitting in your freezer. Imperial, a large format bottle holding 6 liters, which is the equivalent of 8 standard 750 bottles, 750 milliliter. The Beaujolais equivalent of Burgundy's Methuselah. So if you've ever heard of a Methuselah, that is the same thing as an Imperial. Imperial is British, actually. It's a British terminology, but it holds 6 liters. And here we go. Indication geographic Beaujolais. We just read that just a little bit ago. This is the European Union's new designation. It's meant to code Vins de Pays for recognition across the member states. It was officially adopted in January of 2016. And Indicación geográfica típica possibly. IGT. This is, well, here, I've got a pronunciation of it. Why don't I jump into that and see what that has?
IGT, or Indicazione Geografica Tipica.
Oh, Indicazione Geografica Tipica. So I did say the Tipica right. That's the one that I was on. Indicazione Geografica Tipica. Italian quality classification, meaning wine typical of a region. IGT is one level above the base category, which is Vino da Tavola. It can also be used by super Tuscans, or Tuscans. Why did I get Tuscans? Tuscans. Yeah. So that's another usage of it. Indigenous yeast. It says see native yeast. Inoculation. The process a winemaker introduces yeast to the must to kickstart fermentation. I've talked about how they get the must, how they punch it down, all that, and it's sometimes the natural yeast don't take over. They want it to take over. Sometimes it doesn't. And so they inoculate it or add yeast to boost it up and let it start fermenting. Intensity. Intensity relates to appearance and aroma. When evaluating appearance, intensity describes the concentration of color. The more concentrated and opaque a wine's color, the higher its intensity. Common descriptors for color intensity are pale, medium, or dark. When evaluating aroma and flavor, the more pronounced or evident the characteristics, the more intense the wine. That's intensity. Irrigation. This is watering the vines. Banned agents, yet indispensable to establishing and maintaining vineyards in arid regions, especially where soils retain little moisture. Two methods include drip irrigation, and the less precise flood irrigation. Now, let's talk about irrigation a little bit. You have drip vines, drip lines that run all through the vineyard, and on those you have little valves. Now, these can be put in so it drips 5 times an hour or 50 times an hour. Depends on what size you're popping into that line. And it is just literally popping into it's a plastic type line that goes through and that you get from your water source. And you put these drip lines and it actually drips out at the frequency that particular drip will give you. Now, some places don't irrigate. Some places don't do it at all. And the reason for that is they want the vines to struggle, to actually do the best they can without extra waters or stuff. In this particular region, let's say it rains every afternoon, just maybe an eighth of an inch. That's fine. They'll let it go at that and not irrigate. Or it rains every month an eighth of an inch. They'll let it go at that because there is some school of thought in irrigation that the more the vine struggles, the better the wine will be. The more intense it will be, the more the grapes struggles to survive, and so therefore hold their moisture in and stuff like that. So, two schools of thought. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. They both work, and they both have come with great wines. Flood irrigation, like I said here, is when you just spray the vineyard and just let the water go around and put water all over the grapevines and all that. And not to be confused with the floods that are happening everywhere now. And I still haven't gotten a hold of the regions in Texas and all that where the flood. I will, but I haven't gotten a hold of them since they've one place I called South Carolina, and I couldn't get through. I think the lines might have been down, but it's a busy time for them. So I will call them this week, and I'll give you a report next week on what is happening with the floods in the vineyards and how it's affecting any vineyards around those areas. But the flood irrigation it's too much water on vineyard. If it is flooded, if it's set during water, vine roots have to breathe. They can't be covered up to the point where they can't breathe. Water covers them up to the point where they can't breathe. So therefore they die. And so you want to be able to get a drained area for your grapevines. You don't want to just set in a low area that every time it rains, it fills full of water. So you want it drained enough so that you can do it. By good soils like volcanic soils and rock and loam and stuff like this are good because they do drain well. The clay is not real good because clay doesn't drain. And so you don't want your grapevine roots to be covered in water for any period of time because they won't be able to breathe and they'll die. So that's, the flood irrigation is not real popular, like it says here, because of the fact that it's hard to control and it's not real precise. Isinglass. Let me see how that's it. I may have been pronounced. Let me see what they say here. Okay.
Isinglass.
Okay, glass. Okay, that's what I've been saying. Isinglass. 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 This is a protein-rich substance derived from the swim bladders of sturgeon and other fish and used in the fining process to improve clarity, color, mouthfeel, and expression of fruit, and also to reduce astringency. Protein in the isinglass binds with excess tannins and other polyphenols and causes them to settle to the bottom where they can be easily removed. Okay, picture this. Same thing with egg whites. Isinglasses. People are allergic to fish. It could be a problem if they filter with isinglass. People are allergic to eggs. It could be a problem if they use egg whites. What they do is they drop this into the top of the tank, and it is actually heavier than the wine, and it spreads across the tank, and it floats to the bottom. As it floats to the bottom, it picks up impurities and just stuff that is not good. And doing this, like it says, it improves the clarity and the mouthfeel and the color and all that because it's taking out all these impurities in the wine. Then once that's done, you can rack off the top of it over, then you pull it off the bottom and do with what you will. Now the problem with this is, and some people get reactions to wines and they attribute it to different things. Now, if you are allergic to certain things, particularly whites or excuse me, egg whites or fish or stuff like that, you need to find out what fining process they are using for their wines, because a lot of them do use isinglass, or egg whites, and it's not listed anywhere. It's not told anywhere on the bottle. So that's something to ask if you particularly like wine, or if you're particularly sensitive to either one of those, fish, eggs. Then it would be best to ask before you imbibe. So there you go. There's the eyes, and let's see. Let's look at the J's and see how far down the J's. And J's. Oh my gosh, there's only two of them here. Well, let me get these out of the way, and we'll go to K's. J, Jeroboam. Jeroboam. Jerob. The board just used this term for large format bottle holding 4.5 liters, or the equivalent of 6 bottles of wine. Same size as Bordeaux's double, and holds 3 liters or 4 bottles of wine. So it's very confusing when you start different regions you go to using different or using the same phrase for different amounts. But it is a larger bottle. Uh, you don't see a lot of those in the states. You will some wine stores carry them just for fun and giggles, but most of the time it's rare that you see them. You can order them though. You can always get them. And the last one on the J is jug wine, American term for inexpensive ordinary wine sold in half-gallon or gallon jug bottles. Sales in this category are currently declining as wine drinkers look for higher quality wines. A lot of wine drinkers start out on jug wines. I don't think jug wines are as available now. You've got more things like box wines and stuff that are out there. When I was starting to drink, jug wines were very popular. They were all over the place. You jug wines in different sizes and in different sizes. I, Chablis, those are actually terms of France, and so they according to Jewish dietary are the and certified rabbinic authorities. Only observant Orthodox Jews can handle kosher wine during the winemaking process, including tasks such as racking and drawing samples from barrels. Common finding agents forbidden in the production of kosher wine include casein and isinglass, though the use of egg whites is permitted. So, kosher wines. Check back on archived issues. I talked to a rabbi on one of the shows a number of years ago, and he described some kosher wines and stuff. Very interesting show and interesting person. But he describes kosher wines and different things about kosher wines. So I refer you back to my show where I talked to the rabbi. You can go to archives and find that. Oh, okay. And then next week, we will start with the letter L for terms because we got through these and maybe jump not going fast. Okay, here we go. Okay, the first one we have Institute Delegate Thursday. I clicked on something. One. Okay, there. That's the one. I'm not connected. Does that mean that I've lost you on the show? This. All right. Come on. Let's see if we're still live. Live. Yeah. It tells me the device unexpectedly stopped. Yes, I know. That for me because I got information here I want to read. Well, maybe. Oh, geez, I don't know if it's because of the weather or my computer or restream. Now because of the president's rules and regulations, which is really hurting California. So, and trying to get something done that is beneficial for all of us. Okay. So, got that out of the way. It took long to load there. And let's see if we can, if it will load. Oh my God. Okay. No, let's do. No, there we go. Okay. Nope, that's not it. And that's not it either. Okay, it's just talking about airtime. This this isn't. This isn't what I wanted to do. Boy. Let's do that and see if we can't find the one we want. Okay. Okay, July 6th. No, do I not? Oh, the 7th. Here we get a lot on this one. We can look. Okay. Who? The world is pushing for a 50% rise in soda and alcohol. If your normal bottle of wine costs you $12, they want to raise it up to $18. They have a tax, but they're only now, instead of taxing it, just having a across the board 50% increase on sugary drinks and alcohol. Now the article load. There we go. The WHO has long been advocate for tax on sugar drinks and alcohol, but it says here this latest initiative calls for drastic policy shift. They say the sugar drinks and on alcohol should be raised at least 50%, and called a health tax. It says the health system is under enormous strain from rising non-communicable diseases such as cancer, cardiovascular disease, and chronic respiratory diseases and diabetes. And a one-time price increase on tobacco, alcohol, and sugar drinks could prevent 50 premature deaths over the next 50 years. Meanwhile, it can generate up to within 5 years. So, though its latest initiative is called 3 by 30 initiative, and referring to the 3 parties targeted through 2025. WHO wants to see $1 trillion raised over the next 10 years. Large scale change is possible, pointed to the 140 countries that have tobacco taxes between 2022, pushing up retail prices by over 50% on average. Yet many countries continue to work in the opposite direction, providing tax incentives for alcohol, and they're also targeting soft drinks in the United States. They say that it is strain on this country because of soft drinks, and they want to do the same thing that the UK's soft drinks industry said that could reformulation of sugar drinks has been widespread and effective, and consumption has Lithuania is one country that has on driving down consumption, increasing its alcohol tax with this goal in mind. In 2017, it increased alcohol tax revenue from 234 euro m, whatever that is. I'm not familiar. In 2016 to 323 in 2018, and saw alcohol-related deaths drop by 23.4 persons per 100,000. And so, yeah, okay. Excuse me. Scotland, meanwhile, has not gone down that taxation route, but instead set a minimum unit price that alcohol can be sold for, again with the goal of reducing harmful consumption. Ireland is set to introduce its own strategy in 2026, which will see health warning added to alcohol. So there you go. This, the United States, who is looking at the world saying, hey, everybody else is doing this stuff, and trying to get it down. But the tax on alcohol is unbelievable. Taxes that are collected because of alcohol, and it's when they start raising the price on it, is I think it could fire. I can't see how it could really work. It's I don't know. I just how I see it. Okay. As we know, fall down in the amount of sales and stuff. And the reason is because of Gen Z. They're saying this is one of the reasons why we're getting less sales and things. So the wine industry is fighting back. They're trying to woo them back, to get Gen Z to come back to them. And in an attempt to reverse the trend, an organization together, a community for wine has formed, and they're trying to focus on framing wine as a communal beverage with history and culture mixed in with it. How it's going to work, who knows? The concept of mindful drinking has spread people. A 23 Gallup poll found that the number of adults under 35 who drink has fallen by 10 points over the past 2 days, from 72 to 62. By contrast, drinkers over the age of 55 and increased this amount in that period from 49% to 59%. All right, baby boomers, keep up. It's becoming clear, for whatever reason, it is younger generation just not drink much. Dr. George Cobb from the National Institute of Alcoholism and Alcohol Abuse. Medical professionals largely agree that drinking less has benefits. It's not the healthiest situation for winemakers. Throw in the tariffs that we're being stuck with, and it makes a big difference. The members of the U.S. Wine Trade Alliance are meeting with congressional members. Excuse me. The effects of wine tariffs on every sector of the industry. There are 1,200 waters, 1,000 distributors, and 47,500 wine and spirits retailers, including 350,000 independently owned restaurants in the United States. The consumption of wine to keep need far more than this. This too shall pass attitude. Be back to current headwinds. They're saying it's simple that through wars, famines, drought, wine has brought flavor and joy to humans for more than 8,000 years. There's no reason to believe it is going to disappear from our lives anytime soon. Oh, I mean, yeah, really. And it supports so many people and so many families, and so many things are taken off of that. You can say, okay, it supports this winery, but all the infrastructure of the winery, the things that go into it, the tractors and the equipment that takes and picks the grapes, and then tanks and barrels and fermentation and chemicals. I say chemicals, not chemicals added to the wine, but chemicals for testing and stuff like that. And all the different in the country that are dependent on wineries, these are dependent on them. If you want to look to test their grapes and are they okay and see with it. And we also include the down the line, the distributors and the stores that have the sell wine and wine shops and all that. So the amount of people that actually rely on wine in this country is staggering. It's unbelievable. You can go through just about any state and look how many people rely on wine industry and how many jobs and how much revenue. Then doesn't make sense to start putting tariffs on wine going out and coming in, because it's only going to hurt all these people. It's not going to do anything else but cause problems along the line. I'm not saying I'm for or against tariffs. I just know that when you start tariffs against the wine in order to get them in the country, it's going to call to get them out. People will slow down on their buying. Not that they will particularly stop, but it will create a slowdown. And there's too many people rely on it. Actually say, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to buy it anymore. All that. So, enough of my editorializing. When they said here that, that one caught me. China uncovers a $20 million wine smuggling ring. And you think, oh, China wine smuggling, but China is quite a large wine industry, and they are growing. And page unresponsive. Oh, geez. Well, it's almost time to play. So a short and show and comes throughout it. So, oh boy. China uncovers a $20 million smuggling ring. Oh, there we go. It finally popped up. They uncovered a major smuggling operation involving 145 million yen, or about by Zion. Born 1991, no junior high school education, and he masterminded the entire network between 2020 and 2022. Authority taxes. Resumed smuggling in 2021, and let's see, evading another 318 U.S. taxes. So the man has put his middle school education to good use. He's done that, but they caught him, so it's stopped now. They're seeing it, But China's got stuff smuggling and doing stuff all the time, Koizo. But there we go. So, as tonight, and as much of a pain some of this was, and as the fact that I get on until late, we're done. Another show is over. Be safe out there. I will check on flooding around the country, see how it's affected grapevines. I'm sure it has. I can't imagine that it has avoided grapevines. So I will check on it, and I'll let you know next week as it works properly. I don't know what's wrong with it this week. I don't know where Mike is. I don't know what's going on at all. So any comments, any questions? allaboutwine101@gmail.com. And I'll get back to you. Or if you would like to be a guest, or guest or anything, same address. I will get back in. I have a lady who's going to be on the show, hopefully first Thursday in August, which is 2 weeks from today. But if we can't get these glitches ironed out, I don't know what we're going to do. So, but we have guests. If you want to be a guest, anyone wants to be a guest, wine-related business, or I've had authors on. I've had all sorts of stuff on here that is wine-related. Always fun to talk with them. Always fun to visit with them. So, let me know. And again, all about wine 101@gmail.com. And I guess we're done for the night. Let's intro if it'll play.
This concludes tonight's broadcast of All About Wine with your host, Ron. For show...
It won't play. I can't get anything to play. I can't get anything to do it.
This concludes tonight's broadcast of All About Wine with your host, Ron. For show information, links to All About Wine on Twitter and Facebook, or to be a guest on this show, visit the show website at www.allaboutwinebto.com. Archived shows are available for download on iTunes or on our show page at blogtalkradio.com/allaboutwine. Thank you for listening. Drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time on All About Wine.
Play. Well, maybe not. Who knows? I can hear it if it is. So we